Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is, wherever you are, welcome to the Good Values podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to someone who I really appreciate. They've been a really good friend to me and offered me support when very few others did. And I also think that they're not only a kind person and intelligent, but they're very talented as well. So I really enjoyed having them on the podcast and I appreciated them being a guest. So in this episode, I'll be talking to Becky Rixon. Let's take a look. Would you mind introducing yourself for the audience?
Oh yeah, of course. So I'm Becky Rixon and I've just finished my final art degree and I have 2 jobs, one in childcare and I work in Sainsbury's as well.
So none of those are art related. Are you going to venture back into the arts aside from those jobs? Are you going to try and sell any work or get any work to do with art at all?
Probably not, to be fair. I'd rather just keep it personal.
Yeah.
Because I've shown my work to people and then just kind of given up with that at this point.
Really?
But, yeah.
So was that not the case before you'd started university?
Well, I really wanted to go into art. And I knew that at 13. I was like, I want to do an art degree. And I don't know. And then I got to A-level and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to carry on with what I wanted to do when I was 13.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, when you study it, it's a bit different.
It is, isn't it?
So
what were your materials, what were your media that you would use before the fine art course?
Well, I did loads of drawing. I hated painting. I hate painting. But then, obviously I started painting and was like, oh yeah, still don't like it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Then I started doing photography and projections and stuff, and working with smoke and stuff. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I've always said to you that I think you've got a real eye for strong imagery, great colours, and you were very good at drawing. I could tell that from first year when I saw the drawing that you'd done of rocks, and I think it was a lake or some kind of, something behind the rocks. There was some kind of scenic landscape that you'd drawn. And I thought, she's got the texture, she's got the depth, she's got talent. And I was expecting to see more of that around the studio. And you were one of the very few people who could do that type of thing. And I had kind of high hopes for you and I and for others like us who could draw. And similar to you, I find painting a bit of an ordeal, but I'm trying to push through it because I get stressed out with painting where I don't with drawing. It's a real weird difference.
Yeah. I remember you saying, I'm on this course to learn how to paint and stuff. And I was like, but you're so good at drawing, I don't really see the point of you going to do painting.
I wanted to almost not replace it, but to kind of be side by side where I was as comfortable sat painting as I would be drawing. And that is still not the case. But what is it that inspires your work that you produce? Because like I said, you make really nice, like you said, with smoke and light, you've got a real ability to put these two elements together and make something that looks either otherworldly or cinematic. What influences your choices?
Well, I've always liked, when you go into the theatres and stuff and you see the smoke when they do performances and things like that, and it just creates an atmosphere and you go into that atmosphere and you forget about your whole life.
Yeah.
When you're not watching that. It's like when you go in the cinema,
it's
a completely different atmosphere to what you're used to. So I just like not being in reality, I guess.
Yeah. Are there any specific performances that you've seen in the theatre or at the cinema or music performances or anything where you think, I remember I went to see this and this was really, had an impact?
Well, not really.
No?
Nothing specific, but
just generally that world building that happens, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, let me think. So, have you been to see any art exhibitions recently? Have you visited anything at all in the last couple of years at all?
Let's think. I I feel like I was at something the other day and we were walking around going, this is so boring, but I can't remember what it was.
I suppose with COVID, it's kind of not as common that you go to visit things either, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now, but nothing that I can think of. It couldn't have been that good if I can't remember.
No. Oh, right, okay.
No.
I suppose if you could have any ideal kind of pathway through artwork, what would you like to do? What would you ideally like to pursue with artwork if you could?
See, I'd want to go into like filmmaking, to be honest. If I was going to do something like that, because I feel like with drawings and paintings, you can't get much further than having it on a gallery wall or like in someone's house.
Yeah.
So I'd rather like have something that someone can go and watch and then come out and be like, oh, that was so good, and then they remember it more.
Yeah. Would you be on the special effects side, or would you like to produce as well? Would you like to direct, or would you like a bit of everything?
Oh, I could never direct.
No?
People would be fuming at me and I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'd rather do the special effects, maybe the lighting side of things. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Oh.
It's just hard to get into that place in it,
yeah.
I guess.
What's a film that you really like for the kind of, I don't know, the world that you're transported into? Is there a type of film where you're like, this is, because let me think, for me it's kind of cliched, but it'd be kind of like The Godfather or Barry Lyndon, like quite old films, but they are completely, I'm transported into the film, and I just feel like when your eyes leave the screen, you're almost disappointed and go, oh, I want to go back into that world. It's just so amazing, engrossing. So
yeah. Well, the thing is, my favourite types of film are literally animation films anyway,
cool.
Which has got nothing to do with like special effects and lighting that you'd see in like a horror film.
Yeah, not practical.
So I'm not really.
No.
Yeah, I couldn't say my favourite.
No.
Either.
Do you like Studio Ghibli? Is it that type of animated, or is it more Disney type of thing, or Pixar, or?
Oh, more like Disney, Pixar.
Yeah.
Like I love the emotion behind Pixar and stuff. Yeah.
So is that Up? Is that Pixar, and Inside Out?
Yeah. So there's and Onwards and all the new ones, Toy Story.
Yeah.
But because they've just brought Lightyear out.
Yeah, you're going to see that.
I've seen it.
Have
you?
you?
I went to the cinema the other day.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, wow, yeah.
But it's nice because like it takes you back to your childhood, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Because Lightyear's the original story that Buzz is based off.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, surprise. Well, kind of. I don't know if it's shamefully surprisingly. I only watched the first Toy Story. I watched it when it first came out, and then it was only this year that I watched 2, 3, and 4, and I watched them all in 2 days, I think, because I thought I need to catch up on these films, and I really enjoyed it because I thought, I don't really like sequels. I don't think I'll enjoy this, but I did really like them. I thought they were really nice. And then I watched the criticism of them as well, because I thought I want to hear what's wrong with them. And I really appreciated the analysis of someone who's saying, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it. Because it didn't detract from the film. It just made me think that's a critical eye that I don't seem to have for films, which I wish I did, just so that I could see errors, even if it's not to kind of do the film down, if you know what I mean. It's just to more improve upon how you can analyse things, I suppose,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I never look at them negatively either. I'm always like, I watch a film, and if I like it, I'm like, oh, that was so good. And then someone else comes out of it that you've watched it with, and they're like, well, I didn't like this part, and this part. And I'm like, but how? It was all amazing.
Now, you see, I can be quite bad for that sometimes. When I watch films, I always think, where's the camera? Because I always like the idea of the camera should be somewhere. And I don't know, there's certain preferences with filmmaking, but I really liked Inside Out and Up. And I think it's been a while since I've watched anything aside from the Toy Story films. But yeah, I'll have to give Lightyear a go. Yeah, see what it's like.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's coming out on Disney Plus soon.
Yeah.
Like, once it's finished in the cinemas and stuff.
All right. Yeah, that's when I'll check it out then.
Yeah.
Nice. I, years ago, made something which I think you've made the same thing. And it's a little plastic kind of like that. like a little case thing, and you pop it on your phone, and certain videos get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
The hologram.
Hologram, kind of like a prism thing, isn't it? Yeah. So I made one of those too, and I saw, because I've downloaded loads of stuff from galleries of yours, of you, Lynn's, of Shay's, of Jamie's. So that's why I've basically I've got a lot of stuff on my phone, and I can recognise your stuff. That's what's quite nice about it.
Well, yeah, I tried to do it all different because I thought, you know what, I don't want to have just a painting on the wall like everyone else seems to have and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you have a specific colour palette as well?
I have a lot of black in my work because it's all in dark rooms, isn't it? So.
Because I know that you use quite deep reds and yellows as well. Well, there's a specific one where you do, but you do use quite vibrant colours. So I suppose that up against the dark, because if you're introducing black, then you've got, cause I remember one where you've got green and blue, and then you've got one with an orangey yellow and a red.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is that your kind of preferred pairing? Because green and blue are cold colours and orange and red are warm colours. Do you have thought process for that, or do you just kind of go, I'm just intuiting what I like and what I don't like?
Well, half the time the colours aren't meant to be like that. It just looks like that because it's in the dark.
Oh, really?
So it just happens. I don't particularly go, yeah, I'm going to use red today.
Yeah, yeah.
It just happens, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to set that up as well? Because it looks like a real complicated blocking where if it were me, I'd be a control freak about, I've got to move this twig out of the way. Because you're in the woods sometimes and things like that, so how long would that take you?
Yeah. Well, all that smoke stuff, the green smoke one with, like, the white spikes in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, I think I have that, yeah.
Yeah. That literally took me 30 seconds because the smoke bomb only lasted 30 seconds. So I was like, right, I'll set a video up, set this smoke grenade off, and then just, like, hope for the best.
Oh, nice.
So,
and you've done a bit of computer.
they don't take long.
They don't take long. Because, I mean, is there one which has taken much longer, though? Is there anyone where you're like, this one was a nightmare because of the logistics of it, or are they all quite simple?
They're all quite simple, to be fair. I mean, the longer thing for it is coming up with the idea. So it's like, what can I do next? Let's just do this.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose that was difficult to sketchbook as well. Did you go through the same thing which I and several other people did, where you do the artwork first and then you just pretend with the sketchbook, you just start making things go, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sketchbook was full of screenshots from my videos. So it was literally just like the video in picture form in the sketchbook, and that was my whole thing.
That's quite.
And then I'd be like, I'd have like a massive gap in the page, and be like, right, what can I write in this gap? Try and make it look full.
Oh, it's so difficult to try and retroactively fill in a thought process and go, this is how I came up with the idea. So yeah, that's because I was thinking that's got to be difficult to try and go, I'll work out in a sketchbook how to make a smoke bomb effect with dark and light, and because things like that are quite, to me, that's what I mean by values as well in the podcast, by tonal values, what's dark and what's light. And you've got quite a good sense of how to compose an image with dark in it so that it's not overpowering, or light so that it's not imbalanced. Is that something that you've had experience with before doing these types of things for you?
No, not really. I just did it and it worked, so I carried it on.
Just natural ability. That's really cool.
I just like the contrast in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you'll take the photo of like the projection or whatever it is you're doing, and it doesn't look right, so you can just go, right, I'll just edit this to make it a bit darker.
Nice. Okay, that's good. I mean, do you have conversations with your partner about this, or is it just solely, I just got to work it out myself, and then...
Well, yeah, no, to be fair, because he gave me, like, the smoke grenade idea and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, yeah, because I think we went paintballing, and I hated it. I couldn't even use the gun.
Oh.
I left the safety on and everything. It was an absolute mess. But he was like, oh, yeah, you should maybe, like, try some smoke grenades. And then we looked online and it was like, how much? It was like £50 for like 10 maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's quite a lot. So we like split it he got half and I got half, and then
Wow.
I kind of used them for my art. So.
What did he use them for? Did he use them for paintball? Was it a paintball technique of... No.
It wasn't.
I thought it...
We don't even like paintball.
Oh, really? I thought he was more of an average, like, I'll put smoke bombs and then it'll be coverage for me to go and ambush them or something. No.
No, well, to be honest, we went to this, like, air raid shelter, and I used that for my art as well. Because basically, it was like an abandoned air raid place.
Nice.
And, like, one of our mates is kind of, like, into all the history type of stuff. So we went there and we just thought, you know, why not set them off now?
Yeah.
So we set them off, and, like, I remember there was this massive, like, graffiti on, like, one of the walls. And we poked the smoke grenade through this hole in the wall and just set it off. And we were like,
Nice.
But, yeah.
Oh, cool. Almost makes the graffiti look 3D if it's the smokes making shapes. That's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was good fun. But we absolutely smoked the air raid sheltery thing out. And we were like, oh my God, we need to go.
Yeah, like part vandalising. But no, it's an old air raid shelter, so it's fine. But
It's just finding where's safe, because it's legal to set them off.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you can't obviously do it when there's lots of people around and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to...
But I bet it feels quite nice and rebellious as well, though, just setting what, like lighting something that's going to be, you know, just change the atmosphere completely, you know, it's quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I first, like, did it, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, I'm going to go to the top of the woods and, like, do it. But what if someone sees and reports it as some kind of, like, emergency?
Yeah, they can happen, can't it? Even if it's perfectly legal, you can have that. But you never had that problem, though.
No, it was fine.
That's good. Oh, that's cool. Well, what I was going to say is, because of the light and dark, and you saying that you just edit it on the computer if it's different, is it Photoshop that you use to edit your videos or pictures of them?
I say it's Photoshop, but it's just not.
No?
It's just the editor on my phone, to be honest.
Oh, that's cool. No, that works as well. That's quite good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, things like that. To be honest, I do bits on my phone because it's just quicker and easier. And if it works just as well as Photoshop, why wouldn't you? You know, if it doesn't downgrade the quality, then you may as well. So that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Okay, a bit more of a philosophical question again. What do you value about art? Just art generally.
I just think it's nice to look at.
Yeah.
It's nice people can, like, show their thoughts and feelings through something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I've had this theory that modern art is concept first and beauty second, whereas fine art that inspired me was beauty first and concept second, which is just to say you'd see a painting or a drawing and you'd say, that's beautiful. And then someone would say, yeah, have you noticed this? And then you'd look deeper into it and you'd find out there's a meaning. Whereas these days I feel like you're hit with a meaning really aggressively, and then you're like, I need to try and find this beautiful, because it's just all jagged meaning all over the place. And it's just not my preference, really, I suppose. I'm a bit old-fashioned when it comes to art making, but yeah, okay. So it's the kind of beauty side, which I really appreciate, is that beautiful works of art are kind of inspiring, aren't they, and help you become creative yourself. So were you quite an avid drawer when you were young?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like, it was what I'd do, you know, when someone walks past and they're like, oh, she's doing that again. It was that and reading for me. I always had my head in, like, a book as well.
Yeah.
And then I got to about 13 and stopped reading. So, like, I don't know, 13 was really my age.
Yeah, was it just growing up, or was there a specific reason? Did anything put you off reading or things like that?
Well, it was more exams and stuff, because there was so much schoolwork.
Yeah. And
then, like, I just didn't have time for it. But now I wish I could go back to it and start again. However, I don't enjoy the kids, like, the adult books as much as the kids books.
Oh, really? Well, do you not feel inclined to maybe return to that a little bit? Do you think you'd be able to factor it in?
Yeah, I could do. I mean, I can do now, but just...
I don't know if you will.
It's time.
Yeah, having two jobs, I suppose, takes up a lot of your time. So
Yeah, pretty much.
Doing childcare, that must be another passion of your doing that, you know, as something which you want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I can go down that route now, but like, I still don't know if I'll enjoy it, you know, in a few years, because life changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to come next, so just hope for the best.
If someone reached out...
I could be flipping...
Sorry, go on.
I could be a flipping vet in 5 years, you wouldn't know.
But if someone reached out to you and said, I'm making a film where, you know, we need some lighting and practical effects, would you be willing to do that, do you think, if it paid?
Oh yeah, 100%, I'd do that.
Yeah.
I think it's more like art as a career, it kind of puts you off because it's so hard to get into, and it's also like freelance in a way.
Yeah.
And if I was a freelance like artist, I feel like I wouldn't get anywhere.
I'm wondering whether it is confidence in your own work then, because I think that you've got quite a nice body of work just from the images that I've seen and some of the videos, where I think if you were to exhibit that or to have a portfolio of your images, I think you could possibly get work there. But like you said, it's whether you're comfortable chasing after the work and being busy that way, or whether you'd rather not do that, because it can be quite stressful and it means that you've got to cut back on a lot of things. So it is a compromise, I must admit.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many options, and like, I'm still only like 21, you know what I mean? I've not even started, like.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
You don't really know what you're doing.
No, it's early days, yeah. So is there anything in university which you were introduced to that you think that is something which I'm going to keep as something that I've learned or something that I value?
Not really, no.
No, it's all right. That's,
being honest.
Yeah, be honest.
No.
No, me too. Me too. Well, aside from maybe perspective, which we learnt in the first year, which I don't know if you remember, I'm the only one who put my hand up when he asked, does anyone understand perspective? I'm the only one who put my hand up, and the teacher or the tutor said, there's always one. And then when he came round, he looked at my sketchbook and it looks like I understood perspective. So he was like, oh, you get it. But then when he taught it, I didn't get it. And I was being taught it and thinking, this is the actual rules, as opposed to what I can do, which is I can eyeball perspective. He was teaching the real principle, like this is how it works. That was really valuable to me.
Yeah, see, I learnt that in year 11 in GCSE DT, which just isn't even art.
Yeah.
It's design, but like, I don't know.
Did you not?
I already kind of knew that.
Yeah.
And like 2-point perspective and all that.
Yeah. That's the thing is...
So it wasn't really...
No, I'm a real dropout for school, so I never did any of that. Like I was, you know, as soon as I did GCSEs, I just kind of left and got a job because I was just done at that age. But yeah, I suppose because you are a draftsman, which is, you know, just someone who's good at drawing, you'll understand perspective more than what most of the other people in the studio did who didn't draw, I suppose, who were a bit more... just had different interests, I suppose, or different kind of directions with it. Wow.
Well, I think it's how you've been in life as well. Like, if you were very, like, into school and stuff, you probably might have known that. But if you weren't so into school, then, like, you don't really care, do you?
Yeah.
Because it's very technical.
Yeah, it is, I suppose.
So,
yeah.
It just depends, like, how you've been brought up and taught, really.
Here's a strange question. If I were to say picture an apple in your imagination, could you visually see an apple in your imagination?
Oh, yeah, no, I can see an apple.
You can? Okay, because I...
Yeah, because I watched your
Did
thing.
You? And aphantasia. Okay, because I can't, and I discovered in that episode that I can't. So I ask people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems quite rare, aphantasia, because most people that I ask are like, yeah, I can see it. I'm like, I can't see it, you know. I blame that on why I can't get directions. When people say, do you remember where such a thing is? And I'm like, no, just show me a picture because I can't imagine stuff, you know. It's weird.
Yeah, it is mad.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. Well, that's a good advantage. I mean, as far as values go in life, what do you think are good kind of principles or values to have as far as a work ethic or as far as a creative kind of drive or kind of creative, what would it be? Sensibilities, I suppose. Do you have any kind of values that you think of where you kind of look at anyone creative and you're like, I like that person, that creative person, because they specifically have these qualities and I value that?
I think it's just about motivation, really. If you've got the motivation to do something, then you're going to do it. If you want your life planned out how you have in your head, then it's going to turn out like that because you've worked hard for it.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't really work for it, you're not going to get anywhere, are you?
No.
So
So it's more a discipline type of thing. So people who've got actual, a good work ethic and discipline that you think is quite a good, valuable.
But then again, some people are just lucky, don't do nothing, and then get given opportunities that like people would dream of having that have worked so hard.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just, life's not very fair sometimes.
No, it's not, is it? No, in the marketplace isn't necessarily. When you used to do drawing, did that stop as well at the age of 13? Did you have to take a break then, or did you keep drawing throughout that age as well?
I kept doing it because obviously you've got art as your lessons and stuff like that, so I kept it up really, and that's when I like started to really like it, you know what I mean?
So what was your preferred kind of subject? Would it be landscape or portrait or both, or would you do a bit of everything? Would you like try to draw vehicles as well and buildings, or would you just go to more natural things? What was your preferred thing?
Well, I started out drawing animals. I love doing animals and stuff, because I do love animals.
Yeah.
But like, then I went into portraits, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be very good at portraits. But then like, I was actually decent at them. And then for A-level, I did like identity, because obviously school always give you a basic brief, and it's always something like identity or childhood or something so basic. But I went along the lines of like identity, and I took photos of people, overlapped them, and then like drew the photo, which is what you kind of do in A-level, just draw a photo or whatever.
Yeah. It's quite interesting with the overlap. So you've got several faces on top of each other.
Yeah. And it was all about like the confusion of who these people are and stuff, how like other people affect the person you are.
That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may have felt quite a basic idea, but I've actually not heard of that before.
Yeah, because I did psychology A-level as well, and I love psychology, like knowing like how other people think and stuff like that. So I kind of mixed psychology A-level with art A-level and did it through that. But...
No, that would have been really good, because I suppose there's lots of, they call it like micro expressions and things, which could have been a series of studies. I don't know if you've, because did you do a lot of drawing? Did you like do tons of it?
All my A-level was drawing. My whole A-level was based on like other people and stuff like that, yeah. Because I did, I started that project with like maps, and then like drawing people's faces over the maps of like that person comes from that place, and then kind of built it up to be like, oh yeah, so these people also affect this person and make them the person they are, because apparently you as a person are like the 5 people around you. I can't even remember what that quote is. I can't remember. It's like the 5 people closest to you will make you.
Wow. Yeah, I've not heard that before. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. So it's kind of a bit of a product of your environment kind of philosophy, I suppose.
Yeah. Nature versus nurture debate and all that.
Yeah. Psychology is quite an interesting one as well. I mean, are you still interested in psychology? Do you still watch things related to it?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, it's kind of like, when you watch the documentaries about those murders and stuff like that. I love all the psychology behind them and all the crime thrillers and stuff like that. But I just think it's mad how people can do that and what goes through their mind. Because normally I always have such like a happy perception of everyone. And then, like, you realise what that person's truly like, and you're like, wait, how can you be that person? You weren't that person in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like how they justify things can be quite interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you get to know someone, you think they're this amazing kind of person because you've got along with them, and then they go and, like, do something that you just didn't expect. And you're like, wait, you have that in you.
Yeah.
So.
I did hear recently on a podcast someone say that for the first 5 years of a relationship, you're being dishonest because you're trying to... And I just thought, I was never... I mean, I've not had a lot of relationships, to be honest, but I'm never that insincere with who I am. I know that it changes you being in a relationship because you try to present the best version of yourself, but the idea of being like purposely dishonest to try and hide who you are, I don't know. I can't conceive it. And I know it may sound like, I'm just too good a person to do that. I don't mean that. I just mean more, that just seems like effort that I wouldn't make. I'm too lazy to kind of take on a fake persona.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't see the point, especially if you're going to say, oh yeah, the first 5 years of a relationship, you're not that person. Well, what's the point? Because you've got to spend a lifetime with them. Why lie to them?
It might have been, they may have been exaggerating. I'm not sure on this podcast, but it sounded like they were saying until you're with someone long enough that they just accept you, and then you start letting in what your flaws are. And I'll be honest, I've never had a 5-year relationship, to be honest. The only relationship I've had was 2 years, and that was, only just 2 years, and then that was it. But it's still, I just can't imagine not. I don't know. It just seems bizarre to me that people would be that type of duplicitous approach to connecting with someone. But that is partly, I think, part of what you find out with these murderer programs, where they kind of go into who the person is kind of, they feel that they're smarter than everyone else, so they can create this persona to trick everyone, is usually what the theme that I usually find in them.
Yeah.
You're not fine?
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, half the time they've got, like, a husband or a wife back home that's just totally oblivious.
Yeah.
Like, I'd hate
it's a weird
that.
superiority.
Like, imagine if you were, like, that person back home and then your partner was going off killing people in the background and you just didn't have a clue.
Well, I don't know about you, but when you see the partner, sometimes they're just in denial about what the murderer or the person who did the assault, the partner will deny it. Even if there's a part confession or there's enough victims speaking out, where obviously not murder victims, but victims of the assault speaking out, where it's, not really in question. It's kind of confirmed that this person is a serial abuser, and the partner will still kind of seem to deny it because it does seem to be just too much to accept that someone would have that duality about them. But it makes it really, like, I don't know, scary, and makes you wonder how prevalent that is in society. But I always imagine it's quite fringe, to be honest. I don't think many people have that type of, I don't know, two-sided nature to them. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah, well, you'd hope not, but, like, you never know anyone 100%, do you? So.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, I kind of try to make sure that I don't have too much apprehension about connecting with people still. I always say that it's still best to try and be as open and welcoming to people, regardless of how much you learn about the bad sides of people's nature. But yeah, anyway, to take a complete left turn on this now, I'm going to ask a couple of questions which I ask on every episode. The first one is, what's the most beautiful thing you've seen today? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It can be the smallest thing. It's just something that you remember that you saw beauty in. I
kind of like the plant behind you, to be honest.
Oh, really? Which one? This one?
Yeah, that one. But the thing is, I've not really done anything yet today. So,
Oh, that's really kind of you to say, the plant behind me.
Yeah.
I only got these plants yesterday.
Oh, really? Did you actually?
Addition to the studio.
Oh, no, I think they're really nice. See, I love all the greenery. I've got, like, a little bonsai there, and I've had him for,
lovely.
like, I don't know, 2 years now. But
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I just thought I've got to try and beautify my environment a little bit. It was all a bit too, books and boxes and tools and things, but that's very sweet of you. I asked a professional illustrator that a couple of times, and to the extent where he recognizes who I am, this is online and he's South Korean, so he had to get a translator to tell him that. But he always recognizes this question, what's the most beautiful thing? And he rejected the question every time. He'd say his toe fungus, he'd say what he flushed down the toilet that morning, and he would not answer the question honestly because he didn't like it. But I still love him. I still, follow and watch him and think he's fantastic. But it's funny how he just can't answer that question. And he's someone who can conjure whole worlds from his imagination with no photo reference at all. Completely, masterful. So yeah, that was it's funny to see how different people answer that. So that's quite nice. The other one is a bit of a double question in one, which is, what do you like and what don't you like about your own artwork?
I don't know. The thing is, I just kind of do it and then I'd like it or don't like it, and it just depends which one you're talking about. So
think about one that you do like. What do you like about ones that you do like?
The atmosphere. I like the atmosphere it creates. But then sometimes I don't like the composition of them, or how that colour just isn't right, I guess. But because like I said before, I don't really concentrate on colours. But if it's not right in the final thing, then it's still a bit rubbish.
But you kind of sense it more than...
Yeah.
Have you ever studied a composition course to follow rules of composition or anything like that? Or do you just kind of intuit what works and what doesn't work?
No, I just do it automatically. I always remember this was year 5, so I don't know how old I was, 10. My teacher turned around and was like, you know what, you're really good with layouts. And I was like, oh yeah. But the thing is, that stuck with me ever since I was 10. Yeah. And it's mad what people can say to you at a young age that really stays with you. Yeah,
that's true. It can be bad in a way, but to be honest, it's true for you, because I have noticed in your work that you've got a real sense of it. That's why I asked whether it was something that you'd studied or something which you just intuition-based application of composition, because it feels to me like you have a sense of that where other people have to study that type of thing. And it's nice to know that you can feel your way around. This works, this is a bit off balance, this needs more here or whatever. So when the composition's wrong, you don't like it when you feel like it's maybe too heavy on one side or it's just not balanced in some way.
Yeah, pretty much. I like balance and symmetry in a lot of my stuff, because it's if it hasn't got that, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You kind of just know in your your head if you like it or not.
I might not include this part, but I'll ask you about it anyway. Excuse me. Losing my voice. I'll ask you about it anyway. Part of the work that I downloaded of your work that you'd submitted was computer-based layers of colour and things. What was that done on?
That was done on an app on my phone again. Can't remember what app it was. Well, the thing is, a few years back, there was Adobe, was it a Sketch, I think? I think it was Adobe Sketch. And, I did it on that for ages. And then all of a sudden they put an announcement out, we're closing this down in, January. And I was like, well, what am I going to use now? Because I've still got, 6 months left and I don't know what I'm going to use.
Yeah.
But I made do somehow. So.
Yeah. Because those were quite different from the other things that you make with regards to, your drawings or your practical effects that you create. Because it was very 2D, you still used layers, but it was... I'll put up imagery of it if we're going to use this section, because I didn't know if you'd... I remember you saying that you weren't as attached to that at the time when you said I was just doing stuff to do stuff at uni. Is that how you felt about that, or was there parts of the computer work that you quite liked as well?
No, I did like that. I did like that stuff. It's just, it didn't fit with my project. But as a singular piece, I really liked it. So, yeah. But that came from A-level again, because in A-level, the whole idea of getting the faces overlapped was done by overlapping the photos. So I did the same technique, just with different images, and they came out like really like different.
If there was a theme running through your body of work so far, what do you think would tie it all together? Is there something where you're, driven from a first step of whether I'm drawing or creating practical effects or doing computer work, this is something which holds my interest throughout every piece pretty much?
Well, I always found I was using layers. So it was like, oh yeah, layers for this, layers for that. God knows what I meant by that, but it was just layers, you know what I mean?
So it's kind of depth, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, layers creates depth, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's quite interesting. And then obviously you always say atmosphere and environment, so that's quite nice themes as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah. Because you're not exploring an art career, it's kind of difficult to get talking about potential, because I usually ask, like, what do you want to see in your future of art making and things like that? And people say, well, I'm going to try and go to galleries and I'd like to do this and I love the idea of doing a show. But I suppose, unless I kind of like say, if you could, in an ideal world, because I know that it's sort of, this isn't something that you're kind of working towards at the moment. But like you said, you don't rule it out. It's just where you are right now is just busy working, and you've sidelined the creative side temporarily.
Yeah.
Until, if something changes, it's always there for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you still practice? Are you still going to make things on the side?
Probably. I mean, I'm not going to say no, but like, it's just finding the time to do it. Because like every day I seem to be doing something. Like,
yeah,
it's bad enough. I feel dead bad because like people will ring and I just don't answer because I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry,
well,
I've been in work.
If I were to ask you to collaborate with me, would you do a collaboration with me in the future?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I don't mind
really
doing
nice.
that. Because it's nice because we like know each other and stuff, and
yeah,
it's not like it's going to be some formal kind of thing.
No.
So it's just a bit of fun and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like for play and for kind of enjoyment of creating work, because that would be nice.
yeah, definitely.
Well, it's been a real pleasure catching up with you.
Oh yeah, you
I appreciate you. I appreciate you being a guest on the podcast, and I hope to have you on again in the future. Maybe when you've re-engaged with art, but if not, then you're always welcome as a guest anyway. There we are. But yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on. It's been lovely talking to you, and I will see you off. Not being recorded. I'll see you on another. We'll have to do a catch up. Actually, we're supposed to have a reunion at some point with a few people, so we'll have to arrange that.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, well,
Thank
thank
you very
you.
All right. Take care then.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that is the episode done. And I really thought it was a nice conversation. She's a fantastic person, and I really liked her work. I hope that you got to see and appreciate what she creates, because she has a real vision and understanding of what works with composition, with lighting, with atmospheric effects. And I just thought that would be a nice thing to add on top, even though she does have a lot of talent with drawing and painting as well. I hope that she does return to the arts, because at the moment, as you heard, she's now departing from that discipline at the moment, but it's early days, and I am going to see if she will collaborate with me in the future, because after mentioning that to her, I do think there's potential for collaboration there, because she is really very good at what she does. But either way, whether she does or she doesn't, I really appreciate her being on the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and I will see you in the next episode.